anyways, we do have something that we need to talk about. It's Nintendo news, chat. So we do have something that we can probably take a look at. It's from OmniArc. I know this channel specifically. I've watched some of their content, and apparently Nintendo has gotten even worse or so. Especially with the Metroid Prime game that just recently came out. So let's take a look and see what's going on with the good old Nintendo, shall we? I'm so curious
Every
on this.
time Nintendo does some greedy corporate cash grab, I always think to myself, surely it can't get worse than this, and every other day they just prove me wrong. I swear when I'm doing research for these videos and I see Nintendo being a scumbag again, I look just like that I Show Speed meme. Like, I just genuinely can't believe it anymore, but at this point I guess it really should come as no surprise, because that's right folks, this week Nintendo dropped another greed bomb, not just with Metroid Prime 4 but with Pokemon again. And here's the truth guys, I really didn't want to jump on the Metroid Prime 4 hate train because I just didn't have a real reason to until today. So let's dive deep to figure out what two insane things did Nintendo do this week. But first, what's going on guys? Cheers. Now I actually wanted to make this video a couple of days ago, but on Thursday night I had to take my girlfriend to the emergency room. Don't worry guys, everything is okay, and really we went there just out of an abundance of caution. It ended up not being a super big deal, but we didn't get home until like 1:30 in the morning. I got like 2 hours of sleep. The next day we had to take the cat to the vet, and it was just a very stressful like 30 hours. Everything's all good now. You guys don't have to worry about me. I just wanted to fill you guys in and let you guys know kind of where I'm at and why it's been a couple of days since the last upload. But let's start with Metroid Prime 4, and then later in the video we'll talk about what's going on with Pokemon now, and they just cannot stop abusing the Pokemon fans. Like, they just get the absolute worst experience out of like
what they do this time. What did Pokemon do this time? Please tell me, enlighten me what they did this time. I would love to learn.
Any gaming franchise ever. It's so sad to watch it happen to them, but they keep buying the slop, so it's their own fault. Anyway, Metroid Prime 4 has optional music locked behind $30 paywall. Want to choose the music you listen to in the desert of Vuros while riding your Viola? Then you'd better buy a Samus Aran amiibo. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is out this week, ending an 18-year hiatus between this game and the release of Metroid Prime 3 Corruption in 2007. That is an entire lifetime. Some people watching this video aren't even 18 years old. Samus picks up a few new tricks in this sequel, including her new bike, the Viola, but if you want to hear some optional ambient music while Samus cruises the deserts of planet Vuros, it's going to cost you $30, or the price of a Samus Aran amiibo. Players have discovered that plugging in the Samus amiibo enables the Viola radio, which enables players to choose the music that accompanies Samus's extended journey across the Soul Valley Desert on the motorcycle. There is already some ambient music and noise to go with those scenes. This just allows players to choose music tracks from other areas to listen to. Finishing the game will also unlock 2 additional tracks for the Viola radio, you know, after the game when it no longer really matters. And like I said, when I heard about this a couple of days ago, my mind was blown. I was like, wait a minute, Nintendo is actually locking background music behind a paywall, a $30 paywall. Can you imagine if—
hold up, how much is this game? So okay, hold up, how much is Metroid Prime on the Switch 2? How much is Metroid Prime 4 on the Switch 2? So you're paying $70 for this game, and then you gotta spend another $30 for the amiibo. So you're paying $100 for a game just to hear some music in the background during the desert scene.
Any other company tried to do this, like Call of Duty, for example, or Madden, or Assassin's Creed, like these franchises would be ripped to shreds if they charged you $30 for background music in their menus or on loading screens or whatever the case might be, playing through the campaign, right? Now let's just see this for ourselves, right? Because if you guys haven't heard this, you might think, oh, it's just background music, it's no big deal. This was posted over on Twitter, and this is kind of going viral. 3.6 million views.
Wow, that is pretty boring, I'm not gonna lie.
So really, you can only hear the sounds of the motorcycle itself, and there's like some tiny little ambient music.
Don't I think the desert would have been at least 3 times better if they put some banging music behind it, but it feels just so vapid
in the background, but you can barely hear it. And as the person says here on Twitter, I genuinely think the desert would have been at least 3 times better if they had put some banging music behind it, but it just feels so vapid. And of course, everyone's memeing on this, right? Like, yeah, he's just asleep. It's a snooze fest. By the way, this is the exact problem that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet has. The open world is just empty. And this is yet another example of how Nintendo is making open world games really and they have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea what makes an open world game good. No one cares if it's open, if it's just empty, right? And I know there's stuff to do in the desert. I know that. But my point is, like, just because it's open world doesn't make it better. You don't need to do this, Nintendo. Stop doing this to yourself. Stop making vast open parts of the world where there ain't nothing going on. You're not doing anybody any favors. This is not a good experience. This is just empty. Now, this is the amiibo in question, ladies and gentlemen. The Samus Metroid Prime 4.
To be fair, most friends I know that one a Switch that owns, I assume owns a Switch. They make the amiibo copy to an NFC chip. Since Nintendo is so greedy. Oh, okay, I see.
Beyond Amiibo, which is $30. Amiibo
Sorry,
used
it's a little
to
bit
be
confusing.
$16, like $13
so
back when they first came out. They were actually
like
affordable, cool little collectibles. And really, I like the idea of micro DLC or microtransactions being behind a physical product. I think that's cool, right? Because then even after the game is long gone, or maybe you never play the game again, at least you've got a cool little figurine on the shelf, but not when it's $30 and the perk you get is background music. Industry standard is to simply have background music in your games. Like, what are we talking about? And it's not the most expensive amiibo for Metroid Prime 4, by the way. The Samus and Viola amiibo is $40.
Jesus.
And when you scan this one, it shows you how far you've traveled on the motorcycle itself. Once you reach certain distance milestones, you'll unlock new motorcycle skins that you can swap out from the menu. You need to...
I remember back in the day or so, when you unlock a skin or something for your character, your bike or something, you had to do a challenge to earn it, you know, to unlock it. You know, I remember those days. Those were the good days, you know. Some of you young folks or so will never understand the good times in video games when you had to earn it, you know. Those were good times. Those were good times.
Stop defending Nintendo. Like, you're just a clown. There's no reason for this. There is
they're a bunch of dick suckers at the end of the day.
No reason for $30 background music. Like, we need to stop pretending like this is fine. We cannot normalize this bullshit, okay? Stop guzzling down the slop. It is just embarrassing, but it actually gets worse. Can you believe it,
no
folks?
Way.
It actually gets worse. Let's take a look here. Nintendo has replaced Samus's voice actor for Metroid Prime 4, so it's no longer Mass Effect's Jennifer Hell doing the grunts. I have no recollection of recording it or signing a contract. Legendary voice actress Jennifer Hale has been replaced as the voice of Samus in Metroid Prime 4, the new game credits have revealed. Numerous actors have voiced Samus over the years, though Hale has been the artist behind most of the bounty hunter's grunts and cries in Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3, with some additional work from a second artist, Vanessa Marshall. Many fans had assumed, rightfully so, that Hale would return as Samus in Nintendo's long-awaited new Prime game, but Nintendo Life has now reported on Metroid Prime 4's credits, which lists that Aaron Yvette has taken on the role of Samus. And this has been a trend with Nintendo in the past couple of years, especially on the Switch 2. The article goes on to say, the past few years have seen Nintendo replace many of its previous regular voice actors, you know, the ones that everyone knows and loves, including the veteran voice of Mario and Luigi, Charles Martinet. Princess Peach and Toad voice actress Samantha Kelly, meanwhile, discovered her 18-year tenure as the Super Mario characters was over on Nintendo Switch 2 launch day when Mario Kart World released without her in it. Takashi Nagasako, sorry if I mispronounced that, who previously voiced Donkey Kong for 21 years, has also been replaced as of the Switch 2's launch.
I think they're cutting costs or so on the Nintendo Switch 2. It has to be. I think because they're too expensive now, I think they're trying not to hire them and they're trying to get a more lower budget hiring person. I think that's what it is, you know. Video game on extreme to unlock a skin in New Game Plus. Yeah, I remember that too as well.
Now, I
Sorry, your
will
wording's a little
say
bit weird
I'm
for me.
glad that Nintendo didn't replace them with AI yet. We all know that's probably coming down the pipeline. If you don't think that's going to happen, all I have to say
just for them to
is
save cost or so, I think they would do it.
We'll just wait and see. Hopefully I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong about this, but we'll see. So at least they didn't use AI, but just the fact that they're replacing these artists that have been doing this work for literally decades is crazy. And like, let's really be honest about this, right? There's two reasons why they would replace these voice actors, okay? First of all, maybe they're just too old, right? Like maybe just, I mean, look, it's been 18 years since Metroid Prime 3. Maybe they're thinking like, oh, Jennifer Hale just doesn't sound like Samus anymore. It's not who we think she should sound like. Maybe that's the case, right? But the second reason is that these are veterans in the voice acting industry. They have a long track record of quality content and they can charge more money than other people in the industry. I mean, I think that's a logical conclusion to come to, right?
Money.
I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm not saying that's the reason. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I think it's at least extremely likely and totally logical to arrive at the conclusion that Nintendo is thinking like, okay, well, you know, these veterans, like that, we got to pay them all this money. Really, it's been, you know, we can easily just get somebody else to do it. And like, you know, the Switch 2, we're turning a new leaf. It's a new generation. Like, let's just refresh all these characters. We saw them even change how Donkey Kong looks in the latest Donkey Kong Bonanza game, right?
The only time I ever approve or so for AI or so, if the voice actor like agrees for them to use, like how Arc Raiders is doing it, right? The voice actors agree to it, right? They sign a contract to it, and I assume they get paid or so for that specific thing. I assume. I don't know how it really works or so. I don't know what the contract is, so I can't really tell. But I think personally, it's like, let's say if they're sick or something, they can't make it out for recording, then you can use, you know, you can use the AI for that specific thing. Or if they pay, you know, they pay them or so to do the voice and be like, here, you know, we'll pay you such and such sentiment for it specifically, and then, you know, blah blah blah. I think that's like the best way to kind of like handle the situation itself. But you know, but if you can afford the voice actor and all this other stuff, then you should be able to pay them for it, you know.
Just use all of that as an excuse to be like, okay, like we need something that sounds a little bit newer, a little fresher, and also we conveniently can save a lot of money by not rehiring the people we've worked with for decades, even though they've made us plenty of money. I think that's part of it, right? Like, you know it, I know it, everyone knows that's probably part of it. Okay,
like
so you're locking background music behind a $30 paywall, the little piece of plastic that's just gonna sit on the shelf, right? And you're making all this money off of all this DLC for all these games. And by the way, we're talking about Pokemon DLC in just a minute, all right, so stay tuned. But you're making all this money and you can't just treat your voice actors good. You can't just treat them right, you know what I mean? Like they stuck with you for decades. You can't just throw them a bone like, thanks for your decades of service, you know what I mean? It's crazy. But is it all doom and gloom for Metroid Prime 4? The answer is actually no. If we take a look at Metacritic, we'll see that right now Metroid Prime 4 Beyond has a generally favorable review score of 80 over on Metacritic with an 8.5 user score. Not bad. Many people reported on the fact that this was the lowest scoring Metroid Prime game in the series. Metroid Prime 3 coming in at a 90 universal acclaim, Metroid Prime 2 coming in at a 92, and the original Metroid Prime for the GameCube coming in at a 97, citing this as a must-play video game of all time. This franchise is beloved. This is, I mean, it's Metroid.
Yeah, but here's a counter argument, not a counter argument, but here's an argument towards it, right? Usually games or so is better that comes in threes. Video games always end at like 1, 2, and 3 when it comes to video games in general. When you make a fourth entry or so of that game or so, it's not going to be that great. It's always been like that for like a while. It's always in threes, always in threes. Three are game. The first one, the second one, and the third one are always the best ones. After that, you know, afterwards, towards that, I'm like, where are you gonna go with the story, you know?
Right? It's not only do we have Metroidvanias where Metroid is in the name of the genre. That's how defining Metroid was for gaming in all of history. We call them Metroidvanias because Metroid defined that genre of video game. So not only has
one of my favorite streamers said yesterday that 6 out of 10 might be too generous, and he's probably right.
Metroid been beloved as a 2D game, but now in 3D, the jump to 3D with the Prime series was beloved by everybody. And so now we see Metroid Prime 4 being an 18-year gap, and we're seeing it come in at an 80. Is that bad? No, it's not bad. But after 18 years and after the rest of the franchise being so insanely beloved, it's like, I think people's expectations.
But here's a counter argument to that as well, specifically. Well, it's not counter arguments that I'm doing or so, right? It's more like realization or so, right? This has been rebooted like what, at least 2 to 3 times roughly. Remember the first time it was announced or so, and then they had to reboot the game itself? I think it's 2 times, right? The original concept of itself, and then the second time they had to reboot it. They had to delete everything and start all over again for the second one because there were some issues that were happening the first time around.
Were high, right? It's hard not to have high expectations when all of the other games in the franchise are just home run after home run, hitting it out of the park, grand slam, 90 and above for all 3 of the previous entries. Then you wait 18 years for this one and you get an 80, right? And it's like, you know, it's fine, right? It's good, in fact, and an 80 is good, but it doesn't seem like it's living up to the hype of the rest of the franchise. And you know, it had big shoes to fill, and really over the last 18 years, gaming has changed tremendously.
Yeah, no, it's been 2 times.
If you were 17 when you played Metroid Prime 3, you're 35 now. You might have kids. You might be married. Like, with that much time and with them literally starting over the development of Metroid Prime 4, I think it's reasonable to have high expectations, especially when we look at things like, you know, Breath of the Wild was a complete...
Yeah, but the open world of this aspect of the game is not that great though, so I would like to see what the original concept of this game was to actually tell a definitive truth if it's was actually good or not. So
change in a formula for Zelda, and they hit it out of the park with that.
Because at the end of the day, they're not really making games for gamers at this point. They're just making games to make money. That's it.
Donkey Kong Bonanza changed Donkey Kong forever. I mean, that game is totally different than the last 3D Donkey Kong game, which was literally Donkey Kong 64, right? And Donkey Kong Bonanza was fantastic. It's been nominated for the Game of the Year. Now, I don't think it should win that, but I played Donkey Kong Bonanza a ton. I thought it was a great game. And here we've got Metroid Prime 4, where it's like expectations are through the roof. The amount of time these fans have waited for this game was insane, and it's good, right? It's good. I wouldn't say it's great. It's generally favorable, but I think it's a little bit of a disappointment, right? And part of that probably comes from the fact that it's built for the Switch. This game should have never been a Switch 1 game. I'm sorry to say. I know lots of people who have a Switch wouldn't have wanted to buy a whole Switch 2 for Metroid Prime 4 on the Switch 2, but really, I feel like
the reason why they made it for a Switch 1 or so is because of money-wise. That's the reason why they never put it portly over the Switch 2, because I think they know exactly that the Switch 2 didn't sold very well. Like, it sold pretty well, but it's not the numbers that they were looking for, though.
If they had built this game from the ground up for the Switch 2 and just made it absolute cinema, then I think the game would have been in a different position. But who knows? We'll have to wait for the sales numbers to see just how well this game was actually received by the public and how many people were interested in this. Hopefully for Metroid fans' sake, this game sold well, so that way there's more Metroid Prime games, and hopefully with the next one.
It's like the best example that I have to say with is the, what is it, Silent Hill 2 remake or so, you know? That's the reason why, you know, they're trying to capture that lightning in the bottle, the same thing. Like, you can't do it. You can't do the same thing with the first original 3 Metroid games. It's just impossible, you know? That's its own thing, you know? You knocked it out of the park every single time with those 3 original Metroid Prime games, but you're not going to do it a 4th time. It's impossible, you know?
They can actually do maybe a little bit better of a job. And I feel silly even saying that, right? Because I don't think we have a Legend ZA on our hands here, right? Like, this game it's solid. Like, people are saying it's good, right? Like, it's not, this is why I didn't want to jump on the hate train for Metroid Prime 4, because it's like, objectively, it's fine, right? The game is fine. I can't rip into this game like I did with Legend ZA, because that game was actual trash, and everyone actually knew that if they gave it a fair shake. But this game's fine. It seems like everyone's like enjoying the game. It's okay. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, an 80 is good. It's just in the context of the previous games, it's a little bit of a letdown, right? Same thing if we look at Open Critic here, we see an 82 critic score and an 85% critic recommended score. All in all, good stuff, like right? We even have articles like this. It's wild that Nintendo's new game is a first-person shooter that runs at 120 frames per second. Like, there's good stuff about Metroid Prime 4. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is hopefully just the start of Nintendo providing performance modes in its games. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond technically isn't the first Nintendo published Switch 2 game to offer 120 frames per second support, but I don't count that weird paid tech demo known as Switch 2 Welcome Tour that launched with the system. No, Prime 4 is Nintendo's first 120 frames per second Switch 2 experience, and it's amazing. It is also a bit odd coming from Nintendo, but it makes me really hope that this is an option in future games from the Mario company. The article goes on to say, while I found the opening hour to be a bit meh, the game really picks up once you reach Vault Forge, but one thing that was great and remained excellent from the very start was Metroid Prime 4's performance mode on Switch 2, which offers up to 120 buttery smooth frames per second if your TV can handle it. Gunplay, platforming, driving, and even puzzle solving are just so much nicer at the higher frame rate. So again, it's not all doom and gloom with Metroid Prime 4. I think a lot of people are jumping on the hate train for this game just because, I mean, realistically, it's just so easy to make hate videos about Nintendo these days that you could just say anything and everyone will agree with you. But I only want to hate on Nintendo when it's reasons that I think are justified, right? And it's like the corny millennial humor, is that justified? I don't know. I mean, whatever, right? I don't really care about that, right? And in fact, I'm not even a huge Metroid Prime player to begin with, so I don't even feel qualified to really dig into Metroid and like really give it to them, because it's not my thing, right? So I didn't want to jump on the hate bandwagon just to hate on it, right? But this absolutely deserves hate. Like, you do not hate Nintendo enough for shit like this. And it gets even worse, folks, because
for the video game.
Bullshit strategy that Nintendo is doing with $30 DLCs is getting even worse for Pokemon Legends ZA. Now, as you guys know, we've reported here on the channel that Pokemon Legends ZA is a dumpster fire of a video game. You don't have to take my word for it, just watch the gameplay. It looks like the game came out in 2013, but on top of that, before the game even—
No, that's a disservice, because 2013 games were running better and they played better back then.
Came out, they announced $30 DLC that you could pre-purchase before the game even launched.
That's crazy.
That isn't even out yet, and clearly they went with this strategy because they knew that once players actually got their hands in the game and they realized that they have overpromised and underdelivered, people wouldn't buy the $30 DLC, right? But if you give them the option during peak hype season before the game's even out, oh my god, it looks so cool in the trailers, then people will be willing to spend this $70 for the game, and oh, we might as well get the DLC because the game's gonna be so good, I'm gonna want to play it even longer, right? So of course I'll buy the $30 DLC. I'm a Pokemon slop enjoyer, it's no question. So that's what's been going on with the DLC for Pokemon Legends ZA, but this week Pokemon took it a step further and introduced Mega Lucario Z. That's right, folks, you thought that one Mega Lucario was enough? Nuh-uh, they're gonna do it again. Why? Because everyone loves Mega Lucario, and so here's another way that they can sell you more slop. They're just gonna repackage the same stuff again and release it again. The Pokemon Company has revealed that Mega Lucario Z will appear in the Pokemon Legends ZA Mega Dimension paid downloadable content. Quote, a newly discovered form of Lucario, Mega Lucario Z, was determined to be a mega evolution based on how its form changes through exposure to a Mega Stone and its increase in power, far outshining that of an average Lucario, the company explains in its press release. That's right, we need a press release for a new Mega Pokemon, you guys. The long fur around Mega Lucario Z's head and waist, as well as its fan-shaped tail, make it difficult to get a full view of Mega Lucario Z's powerful movements. In close combat, this can work to visually disorient opponents. Areas of its body, such as the back of its hands and its shins, have been hardened with steel energy, allowing it to deliver powerful blows by concentrating its strength precisely into these hardened parts. I love when my games share the lore through press releases instead of just playing the actual game and like having the lore in the story. Now we just get them as press releases. Wow, that's so cool. It adds that Z Mega Evolutions, quote, need less time to fire off moves, but burn through mega power very quickly. That makes them less suited for long battles, but makes them a good option when trying to settle matches as fast as possible. All right, so we're just min-maxing here, okay? In Pokemon Legends ZA Mega Dimension, that's the $30 DLC, trainers will revisit Lumiose as spatial distortions begin to form around the city. Wow, guys, you're gonna get to revisit that tiny city that you've already spent 25 hours running around, and the fact that it takes you literally 2 minutes to run across the entirety of the game map, right? You get to go back to that city again already for more money. Yay! Donut Chef Ansha and her companion, the mythical Pokemon Hoopa, will guide players as they explore the mysterious dimension known as Hyperspace Lumiose. This not quite Lumiose city is home to new—
Instead of a 2-hour tutorial, it's going to be 3-hour tutorial.
discovered mega evolved Pokemon and other Pokemon not usually found in Lubios, some of which can exceed the normal limit of level 100 with hyperspace levels. That's bullshit and stupid, just so we're clear, right? Everyone knows that. Let's increase the level cap. Okay, World of Warcraft, that sounds like a good idea. World of Warcraft, right? Everyone loved that, didn't they? World of Warcraft. I know these are totally different game genres, but it's like raising the level cap is always a dumb idea. It's always stupid. It's not like, what are we doing, man? Like, you are so out of ideas, it's not even funny. Like, oh, what if the number's bigger? Like, dude, shut up. You're so, everyone who worked on this game should be fired. And it sucks to say that because there's actually been so many layoffs in the gaming scene in the last couple of years, but like, this actually is justified. I really do mean this, right? And maybe not the actual individuals working on the game, but the higher ups, right? Whoever.
At least the quality and the texture is a lot more better in Prime 4 compared. If I had to choose between this game and Prime 4, I'd rather go play Prime 4 than this, to be honest, in my personal opinion.
Or the decision makers for Pokemon Legends EA absolutely should be out of a job because this is just garbage. Like, I'm just so sick of you guys ruining this franchise. I really am. I take it personally as a Pokemon fan since I was 3 or 4 years old back in 1999. Stop ruining my franchise. Really, just stop it. Like, it's just, you deserve to be laid off. It sucks to say that because I'm never I don't want to prey on the downfall of individuals, but it's like, at the end of the day, when people do a bad job at work, like, what else are you supposed to do, right? Like, I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to go off on that tangent here, okay? The point is, Lucario is a fan favorite Pokemon, and what they're doing here is hyping up a whole new.
Well, there's a lot of Rule 34 on Lucario anyways. There's a reason why it's popular.
Mega for this fan favorite Pokemon and then locking it behind $30 DLC as if enough wasn't already locked behind paywalls. You need a Nintendo Online subscription to get the Mega Evolutions of like Greninja, Chestnut, and Delphox. They also locked the Mega Evolutions of Raichu behind the DLC as well. You have Raichu X and Raichu Y. Whoa, so creative. Holy shit, we've never seen that before. Let me guess, Raichu X has a physical moveset and Raichu Y has a special moveset. Whoa. So with all of that already locked behind the $30 DLC that they announced before the game even came out, they're taking it a step further and putting another fan favorite Pokemon in the DLC with a whole new Mega Evolution. It's like, dude, it seems like all of the most interesting content for this game is an additional paid thing. Like, the only original idea that they had in this game was the battle system, right? Like the real-time combat, but it just seems like so many fan favorite Pokemon are locked behind this DLC. It's just like, it's just another slap in the face again, and it's gonna keep happening, and I'm gonna keep reporting on it, and like, the Pokemon fans will keep defending it, and that's the best part about all this. So not only did Nintendo make another greedy move to cash grab more of those $30 DLCs for Pokemon, but it was also revealed that literal background music is locked behind another $30 paywall for the latest Nintendo game, Metroid Prime 4. It's like, how much worse can it get? How much more greedy can it possibly get from Nintendo? You've already raised the prices on your games. Now, Metroid Prime 4 is a $70 game, same thing with Legends EA, but when you have like these basic things, this basic cut content, basic features locked behind another 30 bucks, it's like, these are $100 experiences, right? If you want the full experience, it's a
maybe what they could do or so, like for greediness or so, they can make like a skin or so, right? They'll put an amiibo, right? You gotta buy the amiibo, right? And you can put a skin for it, and then that skin will have the music too as well on top of that. But then on top of that, with that skin specifically, it'll give you an exclusive weapon or so that you can use on that amiibo that gives you an advantage or so through the story itself, you know? Or they could do, like, if you get this specific amiibo or so, you can access the secret area in a specific video game, you know, for you to be able to access, you know, get some extra content or so from the game itself. They could do that. I'm just saying, like, these are things they can come up with really specifically for. I wouldn't be surprised if they do something like that.
$100 price point, which is like, how dare you for these games? How dare you? How dare you do this in a world of Elden Rings where the DLC for Elden Ring is like 500 times bigger than all of Legends EA, right? You've got Team Cherry releasing Silk Song, which is just a better Metroid experience than anything Nintendo has released in a very long time, and they're charging $20. Right now, I know that's a 2D thing, Metroid Prime 4, it's 3D, it's not apples to apples, but you get the point. People look at Silk Song and say, oh, this is a Metroidvania game. Metroid is in the name because of how infamous the franchise was, and now look what it's become. It's a good game by everyone's standards, but $30 for background music, Nintendo? How dare you? That's more money than Silk Song. Are you serious? The quality of the content that Nintendo is releasing lately does not match the price point that they're asking for, and nothing has been more clear than that than a lot of these games we've seen out of the indie scene, or even the AA studios over the last couple of years. Baldur's Gate, Expedition 33, there's just so many games out there that are less than $70, $80, or $100 than people are paying for these Nintendo games, and the Nintendo games are good at best. They're not great, they're not genre defining, they're not game changers, they're not slam dunks or grand slams or whatever other sports reference you want to make. They're not lighting the world on fire. They're just doing the bare minimum and charging as much as they possibly can, and you don't hate them enough for it. They're gonna keep doing it, and yes, it will get worse. It can get worse. They've proven time and time again it will get worse if you keep spending your money on it. And look, originally I was gonna get Metroid Prime 4. Lately, like I said in a previous video, I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring, all right, and so I know if I buy Metroid Prime 4 right now, I'm just not gonna play it until I complete Elden Ring. So I was gonna get Metroid Prime 4. Now that I see this, I'm not gonna get it now. Maybe in the future I'll pick up Metroid Prime 4. Who knows? When I've got some spare time, when there's nothing I want to play in my backlog, maybe I'll pick up Metroid Prime 4. I'm not against it, but after this, I'm definitely gonna hold off because I just don't really have any reason right now. Anyway, guys, if you made it to the end of the video, consider dropping a thumbs up on it. It really helps out the channel a ton. And you might think you're subscribed because you've seen a ton of my videos, but you're actually not. Double check down below.
It is pretty crazy though, I ain't gonna lie, to be honest. To kind of like be seeing what they've done or so.
Every time Nintendo does,
like, I'm not surprised. The rating thing or so, it's not really a big deal, to be honest. Like yeah, you know, it's like it's an 80, you know, it's like it's not like, you know, it wasn't like, because the problem is, like, this is the argument that I always have specifically when it comes to video games, right? Usually video games come in 3. There's a reason why certain puzzles always come in 3, or the reason why you defeat somebody in waves comes in 3s. Everything always comes in 3s all the time. Usually if you try to make more than 3, it's just not going to be that great. That's just kind of like just how it is in general, you know? So I wasn't really expecting Metroid Prime 4 to be like, you know, like I said, I'm not a Nintendo person or anything like that, right? But I wasn't really expecting Metroid Prime 4 to be like an amazing game or something like that. It's like it's gonna knock your socks off or anything like that. No, I was expecting that it's gonna be a good game, you know, but it's nothing gonna be crazy. So I don't think it's gonna compete with the original 3, because the original 3 was made by a different dev team, you know, with a different set goal in mind, you know, compared to what Metroid Prime 4 is, you know, because it had to restart development again, you know, because apparently they didn't like how it was coming out. But I'm just kind of like, I kind of want to see that original vision to have my own opinion on that, you know. Tell that to Valve and then make a Half-Life 3. We don't talk about Valve, okay? Valve is a different breed over there, okay? We're talking about like normal video game logics, okay? Valve just does their own shit over there, whatever the fuck they like to do over there. We don't talk about it, all right? We don't want to talk about that specific one, but yeah. Overall, that's kind of like basically it, but yeah. Anyways, that's the end of the video. You guys can comment, like, subscribe to all that fancy jazzy stuff. Will I ever play the game? No, because I don't want to get a Nintendo Switch 2. So I'll get me an OLED for that what is it, that Ring Fit stream that I want to do. I think that'd be pretty fun to do in the far off future, you know. That'd be a pretty fun thing to do, to kind of mess around with, as a Ring Fit stream. That'd be really fun though. But I'm gonna have flight to Mars before Half-Life 3. You mean the Earth is gonna have flight to Mars before Valve makes a Half-Life 3, you mean? Yeah. We'll see what happens. Anyways, like I said, it's a fine game. It's an 8 out of 10, you know. It's nothing gonna be super crazy. But I think the holding background music in an amiibo thing or so, that you have to pay $30 for that thing, is kind of a little bit crazy in my personal opinion though. So, but yeah. Anyways, that's the end of the video. And